key weighs exactly 47 grams. Standard brass composition. Length, 8.3 centimeters. 5 teeth, conventional pin tumbler design. Manufacturing marks indicate Soviet production, circa 1976. Nothing unusual about it. Nothing remarkable. Except it doesn't fit any lock that exists. They've tried 40,000 locks. Every standard Soviet lock design. Every variant. Every manufacturer. Custom locks. Foreign locks. Antique locks. The key slides into the keyway perfectly. The teeth align with the pins, but it never turns, never engages, never opens anything. This is the archive of Object 1141K. Classified designation. Key empty. The object that fits nowhere and opens nothing. The object that shouldn't exist but does. The official record is 2 paragraphs. Dated August 1976. Filed under Uncategorized Recovered Materials. Object 1141. K recovered from deceased subject Viktor Romanovich Sokolov, age 43, found in apartment 7B, Leningradsky Prospect, Moscow. Subject died of apparent heart failure. No signs of foul play. Key found clutched in subject's hand. No matching lock identified in apartment or among subject's possessions. Object retained for analysis pending identification of origin. That's all. 2 paragraphs to describe something that would consume 8 years of research, 127 investigators, and ultimately lead to the shutdown of an entire division of the state security apparatus. Let me show you what they didn't write down. Viktor Sokolov was an accountant. Married, no children, no criminal record, no political activities. Unremarkable in every way. He lived alone after his wife died in 1974. Neighbors described him as quiet, polite, a little withdrawn after his loss. On August 12, 1976, neighbors reported a smell coming from his apartment. Police found him on the floor of his bedroom, dead for approximately 36 hours. Heart attack, the initial assessment concluded. Not uncommon for a man his age with his stress levels. But there was one strange detail. His right hand was clenched so tightly around the key that rigor mortis had locked it in place. They had to break 2 fingers to remove the object. And when they finally extracted it, they found marks on his palm. Deep indentations where the key had pressed into his flesh. He'd been holding it with tremendous force, squeezing it, like he was trying to break it or trying to keep it from escaping. The key was logged as evidence, standard procedure. It should have gone into storage and been forgotten. But the officer who processed it, Lieutenant Dmitry Karpov, noticed something odd. When he held the key, it felt warm, not room temperature, warm. Like it had been in someone's pocket, but it had been in the evidence locker for 6 hours in a climate-controlled room. Karpov mentioned this in his report. The report made its way to a supervisor who had connections to state security. The supervisor requested the key be sent for analysis. Not because he thought it was important, because the detail about the warmth bothered him in a way he couldn't articulate. The key arrived at Laboratory 19 in Moscow on August 30th, 1976. Dr. Yevgeny Volkov, a materials analyst, performed the initial examination. His report is clinical and thorough. Chemical composition. Standard brass alloy, 63% copper, 37% zinc. Manufacturing. Machine cut, consistent with Soviet key production standards. Age, approximately 6 months based on wear patterns. Function, designed for standard pin tumbler lock mechanism. But then, Dr. Volkov added a note at the end of his report. A note that wasn't standard protocol.
During examination, I attempted to identify the lock type by consulting reference materials. I tested the key against 17 different lock models. None matched. This is unusual, but not unprecedented. However, I noticed that each time I inserted the key into a lock, I experienced a brief sensation of disorientation. Vertigo, perhaps, or the feeling that I was standing in the wrong place. The sensation passed immediately upon removing the key. I mention this only for completeness. It may be unrelated to the object itself.
Dr. Volkov continued testing. Over the next 3 weeks, he tried the key in 500 different locks. None worked, but the sensation he described grew stronger. By the end of his testing period, he was experiencing severe nausea every time he handled the key. He requested reassignment. His replacement, Dr. Natasha Lebedeva, approached the problem differently. If the key didn't fit any existing lock, perhaps the lock had been destroyed. Perhaps the key was an orphan, separated from its purpose. She began researching Viktor Sokolov's background, looking for locks he might have owned, locks that might have been discarded or lost. She found nothing. Viktor's apartment had standard Soviet locks. His workplace had standard locks. His deceased wife's possessions, stored in his apartment, contained no unusual keys or locks. There was no evidence that Viktor had ever owned anything that would require a special key. But Dr. Lebedeva found something else. Viktor's diary. The police had photographed it during their initial investigation, but hadn't read it carefully. It was mostly mundane entries, work schedules, shopping lists, notes about the weather. But starting in July 1976, about a month before his death, the entries changed.
Found a key on the street today. Brass, well made. Someone must have dropped it. I should turn it in, but I'll keep it for now, in case I see missing key notices. Still have the key. Haven't seen any notices. Tried it in my door just to see. Doesn't fit. Doesn't fit any door in the building. Strange. The key is in my coat pocket. I keep reaching for it without thinking, like checking for a wallet or cigarettes. But I don't know why. It's just a key. Had a dream about the key last night. I was standing in front of a door. Red door, wooden, very old. The key fit perfectly. When I turned it, the door opened into darkness. Complete darkness. I could feel wind coming from inside. Cold wind that smelled like metal and earth. I woke up before I could see what was inside. The dream again. Same door. Same darkness. But this time, I stepped inside. Just one step. The floor was there. Solid. But I couldn't see anything. And I heard something. Like breathing. Like something large breathing in the dark. I pulled back and woke up. I can't stop thinking about the door. When I'm awake, I imagine it. Red wood, iron hinges. I've never seen this door in real life, but I know exactly what it looks like. I know exactly how the key feels when it slides into the lock. I know the sound it makes when it turns. How do I know these things? I tried to throw the key away, dropped it in a trash bin near the metro, walked home. When I got to my apartment, the key was in my pocket. I don't remember taking it out of the trash. I don't remember putting it in my pocket. But it was there.
The diary ended on August 10th, 2 days before Victor was found dead. The final entry was a single sentence.
The door is here now.
Dr. Lebedeva's report on this finding is marked urgent. Subject Victor Sokolov experienced progressive psychological deterioration correlating with his possession of Object 1141 key. His diary entries suggest obsessive thoughts, vivid dreams, and possible hallucinations. The nature of these hallucinations is consistent. A door that the key opens. A door that leads to darkness. A door that, according to his final entry, manifested in his physical environment. Recommend immediate psychological evaluation of all personnel who have handled the object. The recommendation was approved. Dr. Volkov and Dr. Lebedeva both underwent a psychiatric assessment. Both reported similar experiences. Dreams of doors. The sensation that the key was trying to open something. The feeling that somewhere there was a lock waiting for this key. On October 15th, 1976, the decision was made to expand testing. If the key fit no conventional lock, perhaps it was designed for an unconventional one. A code lock, a puzzle lock, something custom-made. They brought in locksmiths, engineers, puzzle makers. They created hundreds of test locks with varying mechanisms. Pin tumbler, wafer, lever, combination, electronic. Every configuration they could imagine. The key fit into several of them. The shape was compatible, but it never turned, never engaged, never functioned. One locksmith, a master craftsman named Alexei Petrov, spent 3 weeks trying to create a lock that the key would open. He measured every dimension of the key with micrometer precision. He calculated the exact spacing of the teeth, the depth of each cut, the angle of the blade. He manufactured a lock that was, by every measurable standard, a perfect match. The key didn't work. Alexei's report is brief and frustrated.
I have created a lock that this key should open. The tolerances are exact. The mechanism is correct. But when the key is inserted and turned, nothing happens. The pins align, the cylinder should rotate. But it doesn't. It's as if the key is refusing to function. Or as if the lock I've made, despite being physically correct, is the wrong lock. The wrong door.
After this failure, Alexei began having the dreams, the red door, the darkness beyond, the breathing in the void. He stopped working on the project. He requested the key be kept away from him. When asked why, he said something that was noted in the project files. The key knows what it opens, and it's not any lock I can make. It's not any lock that should exist. November 1976. The project expanded again. If conventional approaches failed, perhaps the key required unconventional analysis. They brought in theoretical physicists, mathematicians, experts in topology and geometry. Dr. Sofia Nikolaev, a physicist specializing in dimensional theory, proposed a radical hypothesis.
What if the key is not failing to open locks in our space? What if it's designed to open a lock that exists in a different spatial configuration? The key's physical properties are conventional, but perhaps its function is not. Perhaps it's a key to somewhere else.
This hypothesis was dismissed by most of the research team. too speculative, too far from established science. But Dr. Nikolaev was permitted to conduct her own tests. She placed the key in various electromagnetic fields, exposed it to different radiation frequencies, subjected it to temperature extremes. She was looking for any indication that the key responded to conditions beyond normal physical contact with locks. On November 23rd, she reported a finding.
When the key is placed in a specific electromagnetic field configuration, approximately 7.5 Tesla with alternating polarity at 60 Hz, the key exhibits a measurable vibration. The vibration frequency is constant, 432 Hz. This frequency persists for exactly 12 seconds after the field is activated, then stops. During this vibration period, the key becomes extremely cold. Temperature drops to minus 40 degrees Celsius within 5 seconds, then returns to room temperature when the vibration stops.
She ran the test 17 times. Same result every time. The key vibrated, cooled, then returned to normal. But on the 18th test, something different happened. Dr. Nikolaev activated the field. The key began to vibrate. The temperature dropped. But this time, the vibration didn't stop at 12 seconds. It continued, 15 seconds, 20. The key became colder, minus 50 degrees, minus 60. And then there was a sound. Dr. Nikolaev described it in her report.
A click, clear and distinct, like a lock mechanism engaging. But there was no lock present. The key was suspended in the electromagnetic field, not inserted into anything. Yet I heard a lock open, and for just a moment, less than a second, I felt a draft. Cold air moving past me, as if a door had opened somewhere and air was flowing through from a very cold place.
The electromagnetic field shut down automatically at 30 seconds. The key stopped vibrating. The temperature normalized. But Dr. Nikolaev stood in the laboratory for 15 minutes afterward, not moving, not speaking. When her assistant asked if she was all right, she said,
I think I heard something on the other side. When the lock clicked, I think there was something breathing in the cold.
Dr. Nikolaev refused to continue her experiments. She transferred to a different project within a week. December 1976. The research team was down to 4 people. Everyone else had requested reassignment. The official reason was always administrative. Workload redistribution, budget constraints, personal circumstances. But the unofficial reason was the same for all of them. The dreams, the red door, the breathing in the dark. The remaining researchers decided to try a different approach. If the key opened nothing in the physical world, perhaps it opened something conceptual, something psychological. They began conducting sensory deprivation experiments. Subjects would be placed in isolation chambers, absolute darkness and silence, and given the key to hold. The hypothesis was that in the absence of external stimuli, the key's true function might become apparent. The first subject, a volunteer graduate student named Mikhail Orlov, lasted 45 minutes. When he was removed from the chamber, he was catatonic, non-responsive. He remained in that state for 3 days, then suddenly began speaking.
There is a door. It's real. The key opens it. But you can't open it from here. You have to be on the other side first. You have to go to where the door is. And the only way to get there is to stop being here.
He refused to elaborate, refused to hold the key again, refused to discuss what he'd experienced. He was hospitalized for psychiatric evaluation and released 2 weeks later with a diagnosis of acute stress reaction. No further sensory deprivation tests were conducted. January 1977. The project was on the verge of cancellation. 8 months of research had produced no actionable results. The key remained unexplained. It fit no lock, opened no door, served no identifiable purpose. But then something happened that changed everything. A report came in from Leningrad. A woman named Svetlana Petrova had died in her apartment. Heart failure, like Viktor Sokolov. And like Viktor, she was found clutching a key. Same design, same dimensions, same brass composition. Same warmth when held. They tested it against Object 1141K. The keys were identical. Manufactured at the same time, by the same process, from the same materials. 2 keys that fit no locks. Over the next 6 months, 17 more bodies were found. All across the Soviet Union. Moscow, Leningrad, Kiev, Minsk, Sverdlovsk. Different cities, different circumstances, but the same pattern. Middle-aged adults, dying of sudden heart failure, clutching brass keys that fit nothing. Every key was identical to Object 1141K. The pattern suggested mass production. Someone was manufacturing these keys and distributing them. But why? For what purpose? The investigation expanded. They traced the keys back through the victims' recent activities. Where had they acquired the keys? Who had given them? What connected these 19 people? The answer was, nothing connected them. Different professions, different social circles, different political affiliations. Some found the keys on the street. Some received them in the mail with no return address. Some couldn't remember where they'd gotten them, just that they'd had them for a few weeks before dying. But every victim had kept a diary or journal, and every diary contained the same progression. Finding the key, trying to identify its lock, dreaming of the red door, obsessing over the darkness beyond. And finally, in each case, the same final entry.
The door is here now.
August 1977. The project received new classification. State Security Level 4. All research was moved to a secure facility outside Moscow. The 19 keys were stored in separate containers, each monitored continuously. And they began investigating the doors. Every victim had mentioned a red door in their diaries, always the same description. Red wood, iron hinges, no visible lock mechanism from the outside. The door appeared to them first in dreams, then in waking hallucinations, and finally, according to their last diary entries, in their physical environment. But no red doors had been found at any of the death scenes. Whatever door the victims saw, it wasn't physically present when their bodies were discovered. Dr. Ivan Korsakov, the new project lead, formed a hypothesis.
The keys are real. The doors are real. But they exist in different states of reality. The keys are physical objects in our world. The doors are physical objects in another configuration of space. The keys create a connection, a bridge. When someone holds a key long enough, focuses on it intensely enough, they begin to perceive the door. They begin to exist partially in both states. And if they open the door, they cross over completely.
This hypothesis was considered insane by conventional standards. But conventional standards hadn't explained anything about the keys. On September 3rd, 1977, Dr. Korsakov volunteered to hold one of the keys under controlled conditions. He would document his experiences in real time while medical staff monitored his vital signs. The experiment began at 1400 hours. Dr. Korsakov sat in an observation room, holding Object 1141K, speaking into a recording device.
The key is warm, comfortable to hold. No unusual sensations. I'm thinking about doors. Trying to imagine the red door described in the victim's diaries.
Hour 3.
I'm seeing patterns when I close my eyes. Geometric shapes. Lines that might be edges of a door frame. Nothing definite yet.
Hour 5.
The door is forming. I can see it now, even with my eyes open. It's translucent, like looking at something through frosted glass. Red wood, iron hinges. It's standing in the corner of the room, but it's not quite solid.
Hour 7.
The door is clearer now, more real. I can see details. Grain in the wood, rust on the hinges. There's no visible lock, but I know where the key goes. I know exactly where to insert it. The keyhole is there. I just can't see it from this side.
Hour 9.
I'm cold. The room temperature is normal, but I'm very cold. The door is almost solid now. I could reach out and touch it. I can hear something on the other side, like wind, like breathing, both. I need to open it. I know I shouldn't. I know that's how they died. But I need to see what's inside. The key is so warm now. It's burning my hand. It wants to turn. It wants to open the lock that I can't see.
At hour 12, Dr. Korsakov stood up and walked toward the corner of the room. The medical staff, watching through the observation window, saw him reach toward empty space with the key extended. Then he stopped, stood motionless for 30 seconds, then spoke one final time into the recording device.
I can see it now. The lock, it's there. The key fits. But I'm not going to turn it. Because I can see what's on the other side. And it's looking back at me.
He dropped the key and stepped away. The medical team entered immediately and removed him from the room. His vital signs were stable, but he was shaking uncontrollably. When asked what he'd seen, he said,
"Nothing. There's nothing on the other side. That's the problem. It's not darkness. It's absence. Complete absence. And somehow, the absence is aware. It knows we're here. It's been waiting for us to open the door."
Dr. Korsakov refused to participate in any further experiments. He left the project and retired from state service 3 months later. The project continued without him, but the focus shifted. No more human testing, no more attempts to open the doors. The new objective was containment. Keep the keys secure, prevent them from reaching the general population, stop whatever was sending them out. But they couldn't stop it. New keys kept appearing. By 1980, they'd collected 47 identical keys from deceased victims across the Soviet Union. By 1983, the number was 93. The keys were spreading, multiplying, appearing in places they'd already searched and cleared. And the doors were becoming more persistent. Security footage from the storage facility where the keys were kept showed anomalies. Shadows that shouldn't exist. Geometric patterns in the air that looked like door frames. staff reported feeling watched, feeling cold, hearing breathing in empty rooms. In January 1984, the decision was made to destroy the keys, melt them down, scatter the metal, end the phenomenon by destroying the objects that caused it. They melted all 93 keys in a high-temperature furnace. The brass liquefied normally. They poured the molten metal into ingots and let it cool. The ingots were chemically analyzed to confirm complete destruction of the original objects. The analysis confirmed no intact keys remained. But 2 days later, a factory worker in Novosibirsk found a brass key on the street. Same design, same weight, same warmth. They hadn't destroyed the keys. They'd freed them. Whatever was creating these objects, it didn't need the original physical keys to exist. The keys were just manifestations, instances of something larger, something that wanted doors to be opened. The project was terminated in March 1984. All research materials were classified and archived. All personnel were reassigned with instructions never to discuss their work. The remaining keys, the ones that continued to appear, were collected by local authorities and forwarded to a central secure facility where they're stored indefinitely. As of the last inventory, taken 6 months ago, that facility holds 1,247 identical keys. None of them fit any lock. All of them are warm to the touch. All of them want to open a door that shouldn't exist. And people keep finding new ones. Every week, somewhere in the former Soviet Union, someone picks up a brass key that looks ordinary but isn't. Someone takes it home. Someone starts dreaming of a red door. Someone writes in their diary,
The door is here now.
I've been working with this archive for 2 months. I haven't touched any of the actual keys. I've only read the reports, studied the photographs, listened to the recordings. But last night I dreamed of a red door. It was in my apartment, standing against the wall where no door should be. Red wood, iron hinges, ancient and solid. I could see the grain in the wood. I could smell metal and earth. And I knew, with absolute certainty, that I had the key to open it. When I woke up, I checked my pockets, empty. I checked my desk, my bag, my coat, no key. But I can still feel it, the weight of it, the warmth of it. Like it's in my hand even though my hand is empty. And I know eventually I'll find it, or it will find me. They all do in the end. The keys that fit no locks. Except one. End of transmission.